And I'm here. How's it going? Maybe gray wasn't the right thing to wear today. Looks like I'm kind of blending with the background. But so this is a totally impromptu stream. I didn't even really prepare anything. But we're gonna go over who's in this debate. Kind of off the top of my head, what I think is gonna happen with each of these candidates in this debate and potentially in Iowa. And yeah, I think that's it. So, by the way, I'm not streaming, in case you're wondering, I'm not streaming the actual debate on here. There's been copyright issues with people that done that in the past, so I'm not going to even bother trying. But CNN's going to be streaming it everywhere. I'm pretty sure it'll be easy to find. But let me get into this, what I want to share. So let's first go over this stuff here. So this is a CNN debate. So 6 presidential candidates will face off Tuesday night at the last Democratic debate before the first votes are cast in the 2020 election. I haven't checked this again since, but last time I checked, there's like 4 debates in February. Kind of crazy, unless I read that wrong. But this is the last debate before the Iowa caucus. So CNN, in partnership with the Des Moines Register, is hosting the 7th primary debate at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. So this debate is in Iowa. Again, it's important for the first state. The debate will be the final face-to-face gathering of the candidates before the February 3rd Iowa caucuses. 6 candidates are set to appear. So we got Vice President Joe Biden, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, Bernie Sanders, Tom Steyer, and Elizabeth Warren. So this is the final 6. Tom Steyer, I would replace with Andrew Yang. I don't really. You can knock off Klobuchar, knock off Steyer, really even knock off Buttigieg. I mean, he may perform okay in the early states, but he just doesn't seem to be able to gain the energy that he actually needs to carry him through. But I don't want to make any solid predictions yet. But this is going to be, so it's on at 9 p.m. Eastern, in case you didn't know. How to watch it, it's going to be on CNN, all over the place, .com homepage, mobile devices. It'll be easy to find. There are people, I'm sure, that'll be streaming it, if not on YouTube, then on Twitch. I'm not doing that again. Some channels have been caught, and it affects the channel. I don't want to risk it. But I will be covering the debate tomorrow, just so you know. But, I'll get to your super chats as well. So if you have super chats, sure, send them in. I'll get to them. Actually, let me get to a couple now, since I just see them in front of me. I think there's only a few. Sarah's Boar Army says, yeet the rich. Thank you, Sarah. Dwayne Bramble says, hey, David, I just watched Nina Turner shut down Chris Matthews on Hardball. Hope you have a delight with it. Ooh. Let me do a little quick search. First, let me get to the last super chat there. Stephen Lindsay Satterfield, thank you for your generous super chat. Let me do a little quick, before I get to this debate preview, quick little search to see if that Hardball clip is anywhere, or if we got to wait for it. I just came back from a long walk, so okay. It doesn't appear to be anywhere yet. I just did a quick search on Twitter. But yeah, I would love to cover that. I'm looking forward to watching that. All right. What was I going to say? The debate. So let's start with, here we go. This is who's debating. Joe Biden. Okay. So Joe Biden's last debate I thought was his strongest, as in he didn't have any brain farts. He was able to form sentences. If Joe Biden once again can, meet that high standard of forming sentences, then he may come out of this debate unscathed. But Bernie Sanders, it appears Bernie Sanders will be going after Joe Biden on Joe Biden's history in wanting to cut Social Security. So, the moderators are going to try and make a feud between Sanders and Warren. My guess is Sanders and Warren have talked before this debate and are going to make their strategy to take down Joe Biden. I think Elizabeth learned fairly quickly that you get burned pretty quick if you're going to try and smear Bernie Sanders by planting BS stories. So it didn't work out for her. I mean, I mentioned this in my last video on Elizabeth Warren in the Anna Kasparian video. I talked about how there are countless people online that are looking for refunds for their donations to Elizabeth Warren. The Act Blue that sets this all up, that takes the donations, apparently they've been inundated with tons of people trying to get refunds, and their system is slammed essentially. So hasn't worked out to make shit up and try and smear Bernie Sanders with it. If Bernie is nice enough and he was actually willing to talk to Elizabeth Warren beforehand, and we all know Bernie is way too nice for his own good, they likely just talked about this already and are going to try and turn the focus to Joe Biden. So that's my prediction. I think Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are going to try and bury the hatchet pretty quick in this debate and then focus on the issues. So, and in the case of Bernie Sanders, he's already hinted that he'll be going after Biden on Social Security, and I imagine Biden's other issues in his past. I mean, Biden has been on the wrong side of history on pretty much everything. I mean, when it comes to a Democrat, Biden's been on the wrong side of history of pretty much everything in the past 30 years. So expect Biden to be attacked heavy, because he should be. He's still in first. I mean, I know he's dropping, but nationally, last I checked, he's still in first. If not, then he's damn close. He's still a force. You still have to knock out his voters that are mostly voters over 45. That many of them, I imagine, will watch this debate. So we'll see if they go after Biden. I think they will, especially Bernie. Pete Buttigieg, this is kind of his last hope. My guess is he's maybe going to try and go after Joe Biden as well, because that really is the only place he can pull support from. Like he's not going to go after Klobuchar, and Klobuchar is likely going to go after Pete Buttigieg, as she did last time, very effectively, I might add. So she may try that again, because that's kind of where Klobuchar can possibly get some of her support from, and then Buttigieg can possibly get support from Joe Biden, and maybe Elizabeth Warren. He may go after Warren, as possible. Tom Steyer is going to, keep parroting Bernie Sanders' talking points and act like they're his own. I don't know why he's in this race. I know why, money, but just adding nothing to the conversation. He bought his way into this race. He's still in this race. It's not even that he's saying anything horrible on stage. It's that he's not the right messenger for the message. Like, get the hell out of here and let the adults talk about this. The people that actually, have a lifelong history of fighting for these issues. I say that like there's more than one of them on stage. It's really just Bernie Sanders. But get the hell out of the way. There's no reason why Tom Steyer should be in this race. Klobuchar, as I said, I guess he's going to go after Pete Buttigieg. She's pulling out 6% right now in Iowa. I mean, I saw a political story today acting like Amy Klobuchar is doing really well in Iowa. They're still trying. They're still trying to manufacture something out of a candidate that is likely going to have no delegates in this entire thing. So again, someone else we're just wasting our time with is Amy Klobuchar. Bernie Sanders, as I said, his focus I think will be on Biden. He'll have to, of course, respond to the discussion he had with Elizabeth Warren. CNN will absolutely focus on that. They love these drama things. So they'll focus on that, but they'll bury the hatchet quickly, I believe. And then Bernie will turn his focus to Joe Biden, who we should be focused on, because that's Joe Biden. A lot of his a lot of Joe Biden's supporters, their second choice is Bernie Sanders. I know it may sound weird if you care about policy and you think, how is that even possible? Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are completely different on policy. Well, it's the fact. A lot of that support is again over 45. They like the candidates based on who they are and what they say. Oh, I heard Joe Biden say this thing once that I liked. Oh, Joe Biden seems kind of like your average guy sometimes, even though he's not, but he can come off that way. And Bernie Sanders, is actually authentic. So Joe Biden has this authentic flair about him, but he's not really authentic. Bernie Sanders is the real deal, which I think is the main reason why there is kind of that swing vote between Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. So Bernie's got to focus on Joe Biden and his past, and also not just his past, Focus on electability. You have to focus on electability. Bernie Sanders has to make the case that he's the only one that can reach out to young voters, to independents, to typical non-voters, people that are disillusioned by a two-party system. I think it would also help him. I know, look, the Democratic Party will go after him on this. Media will likely go after him on this. But I think it would be a good idea for Bernie Sanders to mention that he is a lifelong independent, because that will appeal to independent voters. That will appeal to people that are disillusioned by this two-party system, that hate having to vote for either a Democrat or a Republican. He should mention on stage he's been a lifelong independent, fighting the political establishment, fighting the media establishment, fighting the corporate establishment. This is part of his selling point. This is the reason, part of the reason why Bernie Sanders is the best to go up against Trump in a general election. This sets him apart from anybody else on stage. He has to focus on electability. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to say it. Like, the campaign must know this by now, that the issue with the reason why Biden still has any support is because this stupid mainstream narrative that you need a moderate in the race and that Joe Biden is the most electable because he's a moderate. When every piece of data shows otherwise. Hillary Clinton, the moderate, lost trying to reach out to conservative voters. Joe Biden is trying to reach out to conservative voters. He will lose doing that. You have to bring out people that did not vote last time. Joe Biden will bring out the same people that voted in 2016. And in 2020, the same people that came out in 2016 will still come out for Bernie Sanders because they still hate Donald Trump. They'll still come out and vote. Those same Democratic, reliable voters will still come out in 2020. But you have to get out the people that did not vote in 2016. Young people, independents, typical non-voters. Joe Biden does not do that. You have to make that case on stage. Like, I'm tired of this stupid electability argument that is not getting... The Bernie Sanders side is not talking about this enough. They're just completely dropping the ball on that, and it's pissing me off. Tom Steyer, not going to waste my time. Elizabeth Warren is going to have to answer for her lies. She has to come clean, and maybe the way she'll save it is, I must have misremembered the conversation. I mean, because again, I've been gone for like 3 hours. Maybe this already happened, so I haven't checked online, but. Elizabeth Warren lied. She lied about what happened in the conversation. Oh, I mean, and she did it knowingly, because her exact statement that she put out yesterday said that I said a woman can win and Bernie disagreed. And then she went on to say, and let's move on to something else, because she doesn't want to talk about this because she knows she's wrong. There's a reason why she didn't quote Bernie Sanders and say, Bernie Sanders said a woman cannot win. Because all Bernie likely said was that sexism will be an issue. They had a conversation about the pros and cons of each of them being the nominee. Sexism is obviously going to come up in that conversation because Trump will use it. This is obvious. Like with Hillary Clinton, like that. Sexism is an issue that will have an impact. That is just a fact. That it is not sexist to say that. And Bernie did not say that a woman cannot win. Bernie himself, in his statement, said Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes on election day. So of course a woman can win. But this conversation has been used as a way to attack Bernie Sanders and act like he's sexist, when it's old rehashed bullshit that we all had to deal with in 2016. And it has completely changed my opinion of Elizabeth Warren. That she would engage in this kind of behavior, this kind of attack, this kind of smear, just complete BS. And look, here's the facts. She can't compare herself to Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren can't compare herself to Bernie Sanders on the policies, on the issues. Bernie's platform is stronger. His history is stronger. She just can't compete with it. Honestly, it's kind of unfair to the other candidates in this race. And nationally in general to other politicians, because Bernie Sanders has a record that nobody else can even come close to competing with. He has a 40-year record of saying and fighting for the same thing back when nobody was even listening. You can't compete with that. Nobody on stage can compete with that. Nobody in the country that isn't running can compete with that, because Bernie Sanders is a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. So in that sense, I understand why that's kind of Warren's only play, is to smear him, because there's nothing else to actually work with. But all it ends up doing is hurting her reputation. All it ends up doing is having people refund their donations to Bernie Sanders. It was a completely stupid move. Just like usual, her politics, her political instincts are so effing stupid. I mean, not endorsing Bernie Sanders in 2016, stupid. Doing that test of her background, whether she's Native American or not, stupid. What she's doing right now to Bernie Sanders, stupid. Dropping Medicare for all and going for a public option, this stupid 2-part plan, stupid. Like, whether it's her or the people around her, whatever it is, the people she hires, she makes dumb hiring decisions or she has horrible political instincts. It's one of the two or both. And we see it again and again. Can you imagine her now in a race with Donald Trump after all these mistakes that she's made? She's made more mistakes than Hillary Clinton did in 2016 against Bernie Sanders at least. So carrying this dumbass strategy against Donald Trump is not going to work. You have to get out there. Like if you're a Sanders supporter, you have to get out there and tell the people in your lives. And if you have the time, phone bank, volunteer. But like at the very least, talk to your grandma, like talk to your parents, get the people that support other candidates on board. And you can do it with like, let me show you. Actually, maybe I can't show you, but because the sound in the background, I'm not sure if that song is copyrighted, but there's a fantastic, let me just show you the link of where to find this. There's a fantastic ad. I imagine I think it's a fan made ad because it's not an official Bernie account, but this is a new one that just came out today, I believe. Let me pull it up right here. So yeah, I don't want to risk the copyright on the music here. But this ad right here, people for Bernie, the number 4, people, the number 4 Bernie. It's pinned to their account at the very top. Watch this ad. It's about 2 minutes long. And it's really good. I think this would be a way to get family and friends on board. Show them this. Show them what's at stake here. What this campaign's about. How it's not just about Bernie Sanders. How it's about the movement. How it's about people. How it's about lifting people up. How it's about all working together. Like that really should be the focus. That's why, like it's so important to mention as well that his slogan is not me us, because this is not just about Bernie Sanders. It's about the movement. That's why this candidate is so important, because it's not even about him. It's about the movement that is behind him. So, yeah. Who's moderating this debate? Wolf Blitzer, Abby Phillip, as well as the Des Moines Register's Brianne something. Fansteel. Maybe I got that right. And there you go. All right, so let me get these super chats since I heard just a bunch of them come in. There's 2.1, oh my God, a lot of that. 2.1 thousand people are watching right now. 2,100 people. That's crazy. My usual live streams, by the way, since I got some new people in here, Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Check those out. And I go over stories from the week. I'm just pulling up the super chat right now. All right. Let me read through these. Rob R says, overall personal thoughts on Elizabeth Warren mess. I have like 3 videos on I guess I kind of touched on that while I was talking. But overall personal thoughts is very disappointed in Elizabeth Warren. That's like, honestly, I'm kind of hurt over it. I've defended her before. She's, I know it's a super low bar, but there's not many progressive senators in the country. She's one of the few. And for her to come out with a smear like that is just so disgusting. And it's hurt her. So hopefully she learned her lesson, but it's very stupid of her to do what she did. And can you imagine being Bernie Sanders in that situation? You have this long friendship with somebody in the Senate, one of the few people you can actually trust to be with you on at least most of these issues. And then she backstabs you like that. Unbelievable. Kathy Lloyd sends a very generous super chat. Thank you. With the little gift that says, thanks for being you. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for being you. Jack F sends me some trees. Thank you. Tisha T says, did you see Whoopi and crew chastise Bernie Bros over Warren debacle? I purposely did not watch that clip because I need to take care of my mental health. There's too much negativity. I was already way too into that story. I didn't need to also hear the dipshits on The View give their thoughts. So I purposely avoided it because I heard how horrible it was. So no, I have not watched it. Stephen De Dallas, or Stefan De Dallas, says if Pete Buttigieg's support in Iowa is mostly hot air, I don't know how well that will stand up in a caucus state, but my guess is it will deflate. Yeah, that's the other important thing to mention about these polls. Bernie Sanders, his support is solid, very solid in polling. So like people that answer Bernie for these polls, the majority of them say they are solidly with him and are not going to change their vote. And compared to other candidates, it's like night and day. So I wish I could cite exact numbers off the top of my head, but I can't. But there's one, Bernie was like about 20 points ahead of Warren in terms of solid support base, and then everyone else was like, way lower. So Bernie's support is solid, and that matters a lot, especially in a caucus where you have to actually be there for a while and be engaged in the process. Boast owner sends me a nice gift and a nice super chat donation. Thank you so much. The greatest rogue trader sends a link that I don't know what this is. Let me check it out. I'm surprised it allowed you to send a link. Usually they're pretty strict with that. So this link he sent me says Sanders camp admits anti-Warren script was deployed in multiple early states. Okay, I got to read through this. Let me get back to the super chats. Anna Bird retired says, thanks for the stream. I think she has to apologize. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Yeah. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Greatest Rogue, for your donations. Super Plantain Man. I don't know what your name is. Are you disappointed that Bernie isn't doing better against Trump in the polls than Biden? I am. It depends where you're looking, because that's not what I'm seeing. Honestly, it's pretty evenly matched. You have to go state by state. So national polling, honestly, I'm not even sure if there is national polling comparing the two. But if you go state by state, I mean, in New Mexico, for example, Bernie is leading Trump by 18 points. 18 points. I think Hillary won that state by 8 points. And then Biden is leading Trump in that state by, I believe, 8 points. So Bernie has like this massive lead on other candidates. I know it's, New Mexico, but like look state by state by state. That's what really matters. He's beaten Trump over Biden in New Hampshire, in Iowa, Michigan, I believe. Yeah, Michigan as well. So it depends. Those polls are also very few and far between. Like there aren't really that many head-to-head matchup polls. I see them maybe like once a month. So there isn't really like a consistent basis, or I should say a consistent drip of head-to-head matchups per state going out. But I'm not disappointed. I think also understand polling in general undersamples younger voters, undersamples typical non-voters, undersamples independents. That's Bernie's base. So you have to look at who's actually in the poll. Like, we're really going to see too with these primaries if the Bernie strategy is working of reaching out to typical non-voters, because if he outperforms the polls in Iowa, then it will likely mean he's going to outperform other polls in the future. It means that the sampling isn't getting the full picture because they aren't getting a lot of people that are the new voters, because polling again goes to the typical voters usually. So you bring out a lot of new people, that's not going to show in the polls. So that's also a huge difference between how the results of each of these polls, Bernie versus Biden, would show. Andrew Dwyer. I always said your name wrong. Andrew Dwyer says, keep up the great work. Thank you, Andrew. I don't know this name. Uh, Anderson Tech sends me a super chat with a nice little gift saying, keep it up. Thank you so much. Let me refresh this. Again, the debate is in an hour, so you're not missing anything right now. What else did I mention during my analysis? I think I went over all the candidates, all the ones that matter anyways. Kid says, I cried watching that ad. Yeah. And a big super chat. Thank you. Yeah, that ad I showed you earlier, the People for Bernie ad. Am I still on screen? Let me see. Yeah, this one here. Freaking great ad. People for Bernie. You go there, you'll find it. Let me finish these super chats. Tisha T says, don't you think they'll box Bernie out at tonight's debate with the irrelevant questions? Potentially. I mean, CNN has been so bad. Questions. Actually, the only debate so far that where the questions have been somewhat solid was the last debate, the PBS debate. Everybody else has been garbage. NBC's debates, MSNBC, CNN, whoever else held debates, they've all been horrible questions for the most part. So CNN loves drama. They're going to try and create drama, and that's what they're going to try to do. Hopefully, Bernie can kind of, get around the noise. Because you only have 6 people on stage as opposed to the usual 10. There's more time to speak, so more time to get full thoughts out, more time to actually go maybe a little bit deeper on some policy issues. So hopefully we'll get some of that. Enter name says, yo, bruh, what's your thoughts on big booty Latinas? I like all people. Let me just say that. It's a really weird question to answer specifically. I approve. Let me just there we go. Greed Fatigue sends me a super chat with no message. Thank you, Greed. I wouldn't say you're all that greedy, because you're quite kind. All right, there's more. Jonas Lavarini says, I'm from Brazil. I really like Bernie. Hope he wins. He's not only the best for us people, in my opinion. His movement brings lots of hope for the whole humanity. I 100% agree. I'm from Canada, and I'm a huge Bernie supporter. Bernie is he's a potential leader on the world stage. This is why his candidacy, his potential presidency is so important. Because you potentially have here a leader on the world stage of the biggest superpower in the world, able to transform the narrative around how politics should be done, how where the focus should be, and with the power that America has over the IMF, over the World Bank, you really have potential to transform the global South and have a completely new relationships there with how the U.S. treats Latin America. There is so much potential for a Bernie Sanders presidency, just not even within America, but also outside your borders. I mean, the impact he would have on the UN. Go down the list. There is a huge potential here for humanity as a whole, as you say. Yeah, that's a great super chat. Thank you. Ryan Villadz, man, Villadz. These are probably really easy names. I'm just making it harder than it actually is. Ryan says, what do you think Bernie's strategy should be for the debate tonight? I think his strategy should be to ensure that the BS narrative against him is squashed about the sexism crap that Elizabeth Warren made up. Squash that. I imagine, as I said earlier, him and Warren already discussed this potentially before this debate and are going to make the focus to be Joe Biden. At least that's what they should be doing, because all Elizabeth Warren has been doing is helping Joe Biden by attacking Bernie Sanders with this BS smear. So got to bury the hatchet immediately and then focus on Joe Biden. Joe Biden on Social Security, which appears he'll be doing. Joe Biden on his Iraq war vote, but not even just that. Focus on electability. So I was discussing this earlier. He has to focus on how Bernie has to focus on how he is the most electable, how only he can reach young people, independents, typical non-voters. Only he can bring out the people that did not come out in 2016. Joe Biden will bring out the exact same people that came out in 2016. Bernie brings out a whole new audience. Bernie still brings out the typical voter, Democratic voter that came out in 2016, but he also brings out young people, brings out independents, brings out typical non-voters. Joe Biden can't do that. So Bernie has to make the electability case. Cogito says, do you read any philosophy? Sorry if this is off topic, just curious. I don't. I probably should, but I don't. My life's just too busy. I mean, the way news is just constant and hectic, and I'm taking a university class on the side, and I have back issues that I'm getting help with, so like I got too much going on. But if I ever have some free time, I wouldn't mind getting into some philosophy. All right, let's go soon. So I'm gonna take these last several super chats. And how do I have so many viewers? 2,500. Maybe I should stay here longer. This is pretty crazy. Again, I do a live stream every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. If you want to watch live content, that's when you should show up. This is kind of an impromptu live stream. All right, let me get these other super chats coming in. Chala Sheen says, Navy confirmed UFO videos, but no one cares. Why? Because they're still unidentified objects. I mean, like, until you got an alien body, it's kind of hard to be like, this is an alien. But yeah, they're not invading, I guess. That's why it's not a big story. I think everybody kind of, I feel like everybody kind of, I shouldn't say everybody, but if you think about it, it's totally rational, completely rational that there's other life forms out in the universe, massive universe. It's actually kind of ignorant or selfish to think that we're the only intelligent life in the entire universe. If you know how freaking large the universe is and it keeps expanding. So yeah, the story isn't all that crazy, I guess, is my point. Maybe that's why it's not a big story. I don't know, but good question. I like things that take me off guard. Tokyo Megaplex. Take me off guard. Catch me off guard. Sometimes I say weird things, and I'm not sure if I'm tired or if I'm drinking beer or whatever it is. Tokyo Megaplex says, love the show. Do you think that Bernie should address the false narrative that he hurt Hillary in 2016 and campaigned the hardest for her? He shouldn't address it unless it comes up. Yeah, like that isn't something you don't want to bring up 2016 as Bernie Sanders unless you were asked about it. And when he has been asked about it, he has addressed that BS narrative. I mean, when it was flaring up recently, when Hillary was in the news again, I believe he addressed it. And yeah, he campaigned the most for Hillary Clinton, except for her own family. So apart from Chelsea and Bill Clinton, Bernie Sanders went around the country the most for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Then she turns around. Like, think of how poorly treated Bernie Sanders is after everything that he's done for these people. Like, Hillary Clinton goes all around the country for her, and then he turns around 3 years later and then blames him. Elizabeth Warren, how he's been so hands off on Elizabeth Warren, and her failure on issues like this stupid 2-piece healthcare plan and all this crap, just completely hands off. And then she turns around and backstabs him after their long friendship and their working relationship. Just disgusting. Peter King says, you're my favorite progressive YouTuber. Keep it up. Thanks, Peter. Luis Gutierrez sends me a super chat. Thank you, Luis or Lewis. Idiobox says, James Murdoch speaks out against his father, Rupert's climate propaganda. Story on my Facebook page. Interesting. Are the Murdochs turning on each other? I'll look that up later. Let me just share that. I do see it. So this is James Murdoch criticized his father's news outlets for climate crisis denial. There you go. I mean, yeah, they're Australian, right? So this is actually going to maybe affect them directly. Again, like all conservatives, it takes a personal experience to actually wake the F up to these issues. But at least he's addressing this publicly. So that's cool. That could be a story later on for possibly the live stream this year or this week. Let me just write that down. All right, thank you for that. I hear more coming in. More live streams coming in. Where was I? Greed Fatigue says, do you think Bernie's list of potential running mates is down to Nina Turner and Tulsi Gabbard? I don't think Tulsi's on the list, personally. Maybe she is. I don't think she's on the list. I think it's Nina Turner. I think it's Barbara Lee. I think it's Rashida Tlaib. I think Rashida Tlaib is, a good pick that no one's really thinking about right now because she's still new in Congress, but would be a solid pick. So that's who comes to mind for me. Nina Turner, Barbara Lee, Rashida Tlaib. I mean, maybe Tulsi Gabbard, but I think even if you like Tulsi a lot, she definitely has some actual baggage, some political baggage. She definitely has some fake political baggage as well, though. And unfortunately, a lot of that fake BS is going to would impact a potential ticket. So, and even the real stuff would too. So I don't know if she's a good pick. Justin Anderson says, "Who the hell is voting Klobuchar?" Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know why anybody would support Klobuchar, but then again, I'm somebody who's actually engaged in these issues and the conversation and the race. There are people who are just not engaged, and maybe they saw Amy Klobuchar once say something that they liked, and now they like her. Like, think about how the typical voter thinks. People that maybe don't pay that much attention. They have busy lives, and they see a soundbite, and they see Klobuchar, because Klobuchar is on so often on these networks. Like, it's crazy how often Klobuchar is on. You turn on a Sunday morning news show, one of those Sunday morning political shows, she's on one of them at least. Like, it's crazy how often she is on cable news. So I think that's part of it. She's out there so often, so she's going to get some of that support. But it's not rational. You look into her, what she's actually fighting for, who she's fighting for. It doesn't make sense to support Amy Klobuchar. Bryson Bernard says, "Hi, watching from California. Please shout out my mom, Marcia. She voted for Donald Trump in 2016, but now is a Bernie supporter and enjoys your content." Marcia, that's awesome. Your mom is great. That's what I'm talking about. Talk to your parents. Talk to your family. Talk to your grandparents. Talk to your siblings. Like, this is a movement of the people. You can definitely get people on board. People that, especially even Trump voters, people that were fooled by Trump. People that didn't vote for him because he was sexist or racist, but people that voted for him because they saw somebody who was an outsider. And they thought, hey, I hate these standard politicians. I want an outsider. And they voted for him and expected something different. But they got somebody who was just, once again, like every other politician, propped up by big dollars, propped up by Wall Street. Donald Trump just completely lied to people, tricked people. So if you have people in your family who are not, in the cult of Trump, aren't supporting him blindly. Like I showed you a video recently. I did a story on a video where a supporter couldn't say one thing Trump did well. And then just said, I just support him. Like that's an exact quote. I just support him. So there are people like that are going to be a little harder to turn. Then again, that kid was younger. There's potential there to change that kid's mind with new information. But older voters who are kind of in this Trump cult, it's going to be hard to rip them away because they support him because Trump's the supreme leader. It's not rational. But if there are people in your lives that, not even just potential people that don't like Trump anymore, but Biden voters, Klobuchar voters, Buttigieg supporters, Warren supporters, using rational arguments about Bernie's history, going back in time, showing them old videos of Bernie, showing them ads like I showed you to check for this one from People for Bernie, that one here. Like, show them stuff like this, and it works because, look, the facts are on our side. So if the facts weren't on our side, first of all, I wouldn't be doing this because what I care about are the facts. But it'd be a lot harder it's much harder to sell your candidate if the facts aren't on your side. If your candidate has not been fighting for people their entire career, if your candidate is taking corporate money, if your candidate is having big fundraisers, it's going to be a lot harder to sell your candidate because your candidate isn't actually fighting for people. In the case of Bernie Sanders, all it is information. As long as you get the information to the people and the people are willing to absorb that information and are not stuck into a certain mindset where they hate Bernie for some reason irrationally, or they love Donald Trump irrationally, then they'll be able to hear what you are saying and absorb it and make sense of it. So it's all about making the right case. And don't be combative when you do it. Like, don't say, oh, you like Joe Biden? Well, Joe Biden's stupid. Like, that's not going to work. You have to go in with the mindset that, hey, I know why you like Joe Biden. I get it. He was Barack Obama's VP for 8 years. It's a return to normalcy in your mind. It makes sense in that way. But here's what Joe Biden has actually done. Here's what he actually voted for. He went behind Barack Obama's back, I believe, to try and cut Social Security. I think it was he went behind Barack Obama's back to make the Bush tax cuts permanent. The Bush tax cuts for the rich. I got to read it into that story again, but I believe that's what the story is. Like, that's one example of many of what Joe Biden has done. So you can, and I wouldn't lead with that, but lead with why you support Bernie. Like, ask the person you're talking to, ask them why they support who they support. And then using that information and maybe what that person cares about, ask that person what they care about. Do you care about healthcare? Are you worried about the cost of healthcare? Are you worried about your student loans? Like, whatever it is, you can utilize the information that they give you to tell them why Sanders is the candidate for them. And unless your uncle is Jeff Bezos, I think you'll do a pretty good job of being able to give them information that will make them kind of open their mind to support Bernie. Because really the only people that should, I guess, not support Bernie is if you are incredibly wealthy and incredibly greedy. So if you are, a 100 millionaire or a billionaire and you hate humanity and you hate the planet and you love your money and you want to swim in your money, then I guess you shouldn't vote for Bernie Sanders. But even then, like, the wealth tax that he has is still fairly mild. Like, it's more than Elizabeth Warren's, but it's not like Jeff Bezos would still be a billionaire. So it's not like he's just taking all their money. Like, that's not even happening. But yeah, it's just, if you make the rational case, most people, I think, as long as, again, they don't have some blind allegiance to somebody, they'll be open-minded enough to hear what you're saying. But thanks again, Bryson, and thanks, Marsha. Heath Evans says, love your work. Thank you. Cool Modia 21 says, if Bernie is the nominee and he comes out on top, how do you think Trump will take it? Trump will freak the hell out because Trump knows that Bernie's making a solid case. I did a story on this. Where did I cover this? I covered this in one of my videos. It was during my live stream, my last live stream. But basically, in September, a story came out saying that privately Trump is telling people around him that he is scared of facing socialism because he thinks they make a good case. Canceling student debt is a pretty freaking good case. So I think Trump is the most worried about facing Bernie because Bernie has a case based in fact, based in his history. Trump lied to people. Trump said, oh, healthcare, yeah, you'll be covered. You'll all be covered. Lie. He lied about everything. So Bernie can make that case and show that he is the complete antithesis to Donald Trump because he actually says the things that he means. Roman says, have you seen Bernie's 2020 theme song by Tony Tigg? I think I have. I forget what it is, but I think I have seen that. Duck Punk or DCK Punk says, move the time of your live stream back if possible. I think you're talking to other people. I can't move my live stream back. Oh, you mean like my Friday live stream? That I'm not doing that for one person. Sorry. My live streams are Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. But I'm not exactly sure what your question is even exactly referring to. Black Wolf says, you have so many viewers because you are awesome. I always enjoy and anticipate your videos. Thank you, Black Wolf. Much appreciated. I like that. I like compliments. Thank you. Smith says, please, Bernie, go full Daenerys on him. Well, if you watched all of Game of Thrones, you don't want him to go full Daenerys. But Bernie does need to definitely take the fight to Joe Biden. Victor Soto says, take a drink every time Joe says, here's the deal. Yeah. I mean, I can't harp on Biden too much. I say things a lot as well, certain words. So it's okay. And so does Bernie, by the way. Bernie has his mainstays. Vegan Fever says, Bernie started it all, and he's our only hope. I hear you, Vegan. Jeffrey Zachary says, from Chicago, greetings. Love your show. My wife has convinced our coworker from Warren to Sanders. What's your favorite N64 game? This is a great super chat. First, some good news, and then you ask me a question about video games. Awesome. Favorite N64 game? It's got to be Super Smash Brothers. I mean, it's kind of like, I know that the ones that came out afterwards are, I think, better. I think Melee is better than the first one. But Super Smash is kind of the beginning of it all. Mario Kart 64 is also awesome. Super Mario 64 is awesome. Ocarina of Time is awesome. A lot of good games on that console. It's hard to pick one, but I would... Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what I would pick. Probably Mario Kart or Super Smash. Stark Boss says, thanks for being the woke Walter Cronkite we need. Thank you. Those are big shoes to fill. Citizen01 says, did your impression of Sam Cedar change after calling in about Jimmy Dore a couple of years ago? I thought he came off as rude. I've always liked Sam, even when he was yelling at me. So it's no, it's fine. Sam does great work. I have no criticism of Sam. What else do we got? And by the way, I definitely know people were turned off by that because I've seen the comments. I've seen people, like, especially back when that happened. Don't hold any ill will towards him or the show. They do great work. I mean, I definitely don't hold any ill will towards any of them. I actively watch their content. So there you go. Seth Peterson says, Warren is not to be trusted. This article proves it. Yes, I'm actually potentially going to cover this. I'm glad YouTube's allowing people to copy and links now, because they were not doing that before. I'm potentially going to cover this sometime this week, depending how this whole story plays out with Warren and Sanders, because I don't want to keep talking about this whole feud if nothing's there. But you know what? Since it's still fresh, let's just go over it right now. Really quickly, let me just get to the main point. So this was written by Nathan J. Robinson, I believe. Yeah. Maybe my favorite writer right now, Nathan J. Robinson. Just amazing work in current affairs. So let me just go down to the main pieces here. Here we go. So, all right. He says here, but when I say there is reason not to trust that Warren always tells the truth, I mean this because she does not always tell the truth. I've documented these at length in a video and in previous articles for this website. Many of them are small, but they are also shameless and show a willingness to bend the truth for political convenience. They include, and there's a lot here, saying she opposed fancy wine fundraisers even though she held them herself, raising money using exactly the methods she now denounces as corrupting, and falsely claiming her presidential campaign was 100% grassroots funded when it carried over millions from a Senate campaign funded by the wealthy, claiming her father was a janitor when her brother insists he wasn't, pretending to have been representing the interests of consumers when she was in fact working for corporations who were contesting the legal claims of retired coal miners, women sickened by faulty breast implants, rural cooperatives, and dead NASCAR drivers, claiming for years on government forms that her race was American Indian. When a mother accused her of having sent her children to private school, insisting her children went to public schools when one of them actually did go to private school, claiming to support Medicare for all, but then when criticized for it, backing off it completely and promising to pass something else. Yep. Claiming that only billionaires would pay more under her Medicare for all plan when that wasn't true. Allowing Harvard Law School to claim her as its first woman of color. Yikes. That is crazy. Claiming that a DNA test supported the contention that she was an American Indian, then deleting the evidence she had done this. Claiming to have been first... oh my God, am I going to read all these? Okay, I'm almost done. There's more than I remember. Claiming to have been the first nursing mother to take the New Jersey bar. Then when asked for evidence, saying that she was making a point about the very serious challenges she faced. Like, these are needless lies. Needless. None of this had to be said the way she said it. She could have made that point without saying that she was the first. Like, telling a dubious story about her grandparents having to elope because of discrimination. Saying she was not political in her younger years when she was, in fact, a diehard conservative Republican. Claiming recipes she copied word for word from the New York Times were ancient Cherokee family dishes. I hadn't read that one yet. That's wow. Pretending that she was releasing a healthcare plan that did not raise middle-class taxes, claiming to have created the intellectual foundation for Occupy Wall Street. Did she really say that? Jesus. Criticizing the revolving door between the banking sector and government, despite personally putting bankers in the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So there you go. Thanks for sharing that link. It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder these candidates are much different than many of us thought, including myself. I mean, I knew Warren was nowhere near Sanders in terms of her record, but man, when you start laying out all the lies that were completely needless just to help her politically, yeah, it shows you it's not someone that I would really want to trust. Where was I? J-Max says, what happened to Warren, man? People told me she was the unity candidate, but after smearing Sanders for the past few days, nobody should say this lie. Yeah, she's definitely not the unity candidate, that's for sure. Also, Seth, I don't know if I said this, but big donation. Thank you very much for that. Tisha T says, don't you think it's optimistic for us to argue about Bernie's VP? Don't you think it's optimistic for us to argue about Bernie's VP? The next 3 weeks will be tough. Yeah, I do think it's nice to think forward, but got to win the nomination first. Henrik says, I agree that a Bernie win could inspire a progressive uprising worldwide. For international Bernie fans, you can phone bank from abroad as well, and David may get an inversion table for your back. Great results in studies. I've actually won an inversion table for a while. I will talk to my doctor about that because I'm curious. But I'm getting some treatment now that I feel it's going to help me. Jason Finfrock says, did you see the dislikes on CNN's YouTube video yesterday about Bernie and Warren? Nice seeing the backlash, but sad to see that Trump was at least right about fake news. Looking forward to tonight. Yeah, that's the thing, too. Whenever CNN or MSNBC or NBC, whoever, puts out stories like this that are fabricated or not substantiated, it gives credence to the idea that mainstream press is fake news. And I've said this myself, aspects of it are sometimes, like especially the political opinion pieces. I mean, those just throw them out the window. But even the what are supposed to be objective political pieces, the way they frame topics, the way they frame the conversation is always from an establishment perspective, always from a corporate friendly perspective. Like challenging the status quo to them is always radical. When the way that these pieces should be written is they should be on the side of the people. What is best for the people at large, not what is current, not what is the status quo, not what is changed, what's not changed. What is best for the people as a whole? but they don't write them like that. So it definitely leads to horrible stories. Case Study QB says, thanks for sharing my Bloomberg surrogate fake not hearing news anchor clip. Yes, Case Study QB. Post stuff on Twitter. I use that clip. Thank you so much. Follow me on Twitter and I'll post Nina clip. Actually, you know what? I should follow you. Let me follow you. I'll give you a follow. Because that was a very useful video. All right. Here you go. If you want to follow Case Study, it's a newer account, but they've been posting they'll get clips like this.
Americans. For their children with pre-existing conditions, for their loved ones with pre-existing conditions. That's a huge issue that every Democrat should have been talking about yesterday, because that impacts Americans. And they're talking about some private conversation from 2018. And I'm not getting in on anybody's side, but do any of us really believe that Bernie Sanders is going to say, I don't think a woman can win, Elizabeth? Come on, who's going to say that?
And he certainly wouldn't say it to Elizabeth Warren.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Who's going to say that?
Her story completely completely didn't work. It completely fell through. Again, I don't go back in that conversation, but that's just the fact that even the mainstream press, I mean, some of them, not all of them, I saw some other coverage, but Morning Joe was on Bernie's side. Yeah, her plan didn't really work out. Lee says, big donation, Lee, thank you. Says, if Bernie doesn't make the cut, I'm moving to Canada or the hell somewhere. I'm not even religious, and I'm lighting candles in the nearby Catholic church. The wine is crappy, but I'm desperate. Thank you, Lee. And okay, I want to get out of here soon because the debate, I want to get prepped for sitting on my couch. But Anna Bird Retired says, the Lev Parnas stuff just released by the House. Is this a big deal? I got to check it out. I haven't been too engaged in that story, honestly, because it's been so covered by the mainstream press, covered actually really well by Sam Cedar on the Majority Report. So I'll check it out, but I don't know if I'll be covering it just because it's, again, if I see other people doing stuff better than I'm doing it, am I really going to lend my voice just to be like a Me Too voice? Just I'm also saying the same thing. I don't know. But thank you for sharing. Jay Camacho says, David has BDE. Thank you, Jay. Gila Fleur, me gusta with a straight face. Did you just send me that? No. That's a massive donation. Someone sent me $400. I mean, you all see it in the super chats. No secret. Jesus, Lord Almighty. We'll see if that goes through. That's a huge donation. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Thank you. If that's real, thank you. That's crazy. Crazy awesome. Thank you so much. Wow. Sorry, I'm kind of speechless. Tyler Petre says, as a fellow Canadian and med student, I love you talking about the Canadian healthcare system. Keep up the good work, my friend. Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, I think it's important that people that live under a single payer system inform people that don't what a single payer system actually is and how it's actually incredibly beneficial. And there really is no argument against it. I mean, when our Conservative Party in Canada isn't fighting against our healthcare system, that it's a good system. Otherwise, they would be pushing for an American-like system, but they're not because they'd be laughed out of Parliament. All right. Let me get the last super chats. Get them in now, because I'm going to be finished reading them so I can leave. Terami says, I'm an RPGer, so Paper Mario and Ogre Battle 64. Paper Mario is a good game. So back in the day, I got to be honest, I couldn't get into RPGs. I don't know why. I think I Maybe it's my ADHD. I don't know if I have ADHD, but I felt like I did. So I wasn't able to really focus on RPGs too much. To me, they were too slow. But I feel like now as an adult, I could probably go back and play some RPGs and enjoy myself. I played, I think it was not Harvest Moon. That's the Golden Sun on Game Boy Advance. I think that was a game. That was an RPG, I think. I played a bit of that. I got into that. Pokemon I played. It's not necessarily like a standard RPG, but it's, it's similar. But yeah, like Japanese RPGs, like turn-based RPGs, I had a hard time for a while getting into those. Francis Machino says, "Oh, I sure hope Biden says malarkey." I think we all hope that. Tara Me Again says, "Sam Cedar picks his teeth on air. It's annoying." I don't even notice that, to be honest. It's funny you would say that. It's a radio show, right? Like his show is really it's mainly a podcast. I mean, it's a YouTube show, but because it goes on so long, over the course of 3 hours, you got to pick your teeth at some point. So that's funny though. Tisha T says, "I liked your recent rally clip where Trump said you love your insurance providers and his cult went quiet." Yeah. Go watch that. That was during the Bernie, Trump is scared of Bernie video, I believe. I showed showed Trump at his rally, and then Trump mentioned how, Bernie, he's going to take away your private insurance. And then like nobody clapped nobody got angry or anything. Just like silence. Because people don't like private insurance companies. And this is not really a surprising thing. I mean, I have car insurance. I can't imagine being like, don't take my car insurance company away. It's just a completely absurd idea. Like the real thing is people like their doctors and hospitals, and under a single payer system, since you're all on the same system, you have actual freedom when it comes to doctor, providers, everything, because you're all paying into the same system. At that point, you actually can choose whatever hell doctor you want, as long as they take you, obviously. But you have complete freedom of choice under a system like that, under a single payer system. Mike Thompson says Warren tricked to take down herself and Bernie. It's her no, I don't think she was tricked. Her campaign made standard politician moves, and it didn't work because Bernie's the most honest guy, most honest politician in the country. So when you try to lie about him, it shows that you're lying about him. All right, last ones I think here. Raleigh says, "Because you are super AF." Thank you. I'm not sure what that's referring to exactly, but thank you so much. Freddie Maldonado says, "Nice to see your purdy mug before watching all these geezers." Thanks, Freddie. Herman on the Lake says, "David, look up Guy Lafleur, your big donor in Wiki." I will later. I won't do that here because I'm guessing it's not a real donation. Guy Lafleur's a hockey player. I knew that. But is that who you're talking about? Anyways, I just feel like that donation is too big to go through, but I could be wrong. I just feel like that's amazing. Eric Vasquez sends a generous super chat. Thank you, Eric. Bernard Johnson says, can't match Guy, but what you're doing is super influential. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Bernard. Nobody can match what the hell I just got from Guy Lafleur, though I don't think it's, again, I got to see it to believe it. Once it actually goes through, then I guess I will believe it. But right now, I can't really believe it. But wow. All right. Let me make sure I got everybody because I'm definitely ending now. Shelby Hall, in with a late one, says, "Yesterday I couldn't donate fast enough to Bernie. I'm still fuming. My mom is still fuming, and it's been 24 hours. Warren has always been whatever she thinks we want her to be." Yep. There you go. Shelby, thank you. Generous donation. Thank you so much. Again, guys and girls and everybody, every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern is where you find me on here doing live streams. Otherwise, you know where to find my content on this channel every day. All right. I feel bad leaving 2,200 people, but the debate's going to start in 20 minutes. It'll give you some time to get a snack, go to the washroom, sit down, find the channel, watch some of CNN's horrible pre-coverage, and then get into the actual coverage and enjoy the debate. And I'll cover the whole thing tomorrow. All right. See you later. Bye. Oh, what's that? I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. You know why? Because I saw a late donation. And I tend to believe it. So Ben Hallman says, David, thanks for featuring our video. You can play it. Leah's song was self-produced and will not give you any copyright flags. I imagine most people at this point have already left because you're all leaving. But let me play this video late since it was self-produced. Let me get this thing up here. So Leah, that's who did it? Yes, Leah's song was self-produced and will not give you any copyright flags. All right, you know what? I believe you, Ben. I think you follow me, don't you? You're the editor. There you go. Here, let me follow you back. Let's watch this. This is a great video. So let's end on this before the debate. It's 2 minutes long. I'm gonna not be on screen because you don't want to see me, but watch this awesomeness.
I want you all to take a look around and find someone you don't know. Are you willing to fight for that person who you don't even know as much as you're willing to fight for yourself?
Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you'd better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing. The times they are a-changing.
If you are willing to fight for a government of compassion and justice and decency, not only will we win this election, but together we will transform this country.
Come, mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can lend your hand, for the times they are a-changing. The times they are a-changing. The times they are a-changing.
The pain that one person feels, if we have children who are hungry in America, if we have elderly people who can't afford their prescription drugs, you know what? That impacts you, that impacts me. We are all in this together.
All right. That was amazing. I may have to do a separate video on that. Just so well done. Let me give credit again to who made that. So you got the musician here. Let me zoom in a bit. The musician here, Leah Rose. You got the video producer, Rocky Owens. And you got the editor, Ben Hallman. Like, you guys made a masterpiece. I just want you to know that. That was so well done. That was so well done. I hope the campaign can use that. Like, I know they didn't make it, but I don't know. That's got to be shown around. That, like, put this in movie theaters. Like, Jesus. Such a good, like, I know it's 2.5 minutes, but there's got to be a place you can put this ad where the public can see it, because it is so well done. All right. Again, if you want to see that for yourself, maybe it's on the Bernie Sanders website. I'm not sure, but I know it's definitely on People for Bernie. Check it out. Since I got some late live streams here, this is kind of like the post show here, the post game. Let me just read what I got left over. Joel sends me a generous super chat. My lord, Joel, thank you. With a nice little gif. And Tracy Games says, "You're so awesome. Later live shows would be cool." Yeah, all right. I'll see what I can do. Thanks, Tracy. And thanks for your donation as well. It's just like my live streams are Friday, and they work out because I can cut them into different videos for the weekend. And I don't. Are people gonna? I don't know if I want to be around late on a Friday doing a live stream. But impromptu ones like this, I think, are more likely what might happen. Or I could just do what I'm doing on Twitch and do it on YouTube as well, like play games or something, talk in the chat. I don't know. But all right, thank you all. Watch the debate coming up on CNN in about 10 minutes. I'm not streaming it. CNN.com, other places stream it. Go check it out. I'll cover it tomorrow. Later.